Your personal visceral experience of spiritual insights is infinitely more powerful than simple knowledge. Simply reading about or cognitively understanding spiritual ideas is not the same as having lived them. And these 3 spiritual insights that lucid dreaming offers as an experience for you are some of the most profound. They cut to the very nature of reality, to the experience of death and ultimate truth. It's the kind of thing that once you've experienced it, you can never unsee it, you can never unfeel it, and it actually overflows all the benefits, all the learning, all the transformation into your lived and waking life. Hundreds of thousands of people all around the world do all sorts of crazy things to try and have experiences like this, from decades of intense meditation to really hectic psychedelic experiences to extreme fasting states. But almost nobody realizes that lucid dreaming offers one of the most impactful pathways into these experiences, and all with no cost and no drugs and no pain. Watching my clients have these 3 big revelations during their lucid dream training is one of my favorite things of working with people. And so I'm going to share with you what those 3 big insights are and some guidance on how you can cultivate them. Insight number 1, life could be a simulator. No doubt you've heard of the simulation theory, right? There's a very compelling mathematical case that all of our waking realm reality is actually some kind of complex simulator. And there are very smart people working on this. It's a fun rabbit hole to go down if you haven't yet. But the high level is that everything we think of as real and solid is actually just part of a complex construction. Just like how a video game or a computer game can render cars and people and cities out of zeros and ones. Essentially, our perception is rendering life as we understand it from some other kind of essential information packet. Now, what we're seeing isn't actually objective reality, just a projection or a representation. And all of this, of course, is supported by the increasingly interesting and bizarre findings coming out of quantum physics that, our world and ourselves, that we're actually just mostly space. And a side note, this actually parallels the Buddhist concept of emptiness, and the Tibetan Buddhists have been practicing lucid dreaming for thousands of years. Some really interesting overlaps here. But here's the thing, even if we conceptually accept this, even if on paper it makes sense in the maths, our lived experience is so different. How can I hold this thing and I touch things and I taste things and everything feels so real? It seems impossible that we could all just be constructing this from our sort of seats of perception. And this is where the first big insight that lucid dreaming offers us shows up. It usually happens within the first few big lucid dreams people have, especially with my clients because I guide them to focus on it. But honestly, it is a natural revelation that happens when you become a lucid dreamer. Because when you get lucid and you stabilize the dream and you're able to walk around and interact with your dream environment, you're going to be blown away. Dreams are not dreamy. They feel as real as the waking realm. There's gravity. There's a sky with clouds. You can walk around and touch all the different textures. You can taste things more vividly than in waking realm. You can look at other dream figures into their eyes and see the complex shape of their irises. I remember once in a lucid dream turning a corner and coming across this unbelievable white palace with draped flowers and vines, and being able to look at every little vein inside of the leaf and feel the coolness of the petals of the flower and the coolness of the marble, and just be like, how am I making this all with my mind? Because in a lucid dream, you can have that personal visceral experience of touching everything, tasting everything, feeling like it's real, and yet knowing that none of it's real. Knowing that all of it is a dream, knowing that all of it is a projection of your mind. When you wake up from a dream like that, something changes inside of you. Suddenly, just because the waking realm feels real, doesn't necessarily make it so. You've had the personal experience of walking around in a dream where everything felt real, but you knew it was just a projection. And so the possibility that this waking realm is another more consistent and more complex projection and construction becomes a possibility. And the implications of that, well, that's something each soul has to wrestle with. But having that personal visceral insight is a game changer. Insight number 2, it's all you. When you've had a few strong and long-lasting lucid dreams, at some point you're going to start inquiring into the nature of the dream, and you're going to realize whoa, not only is this elaborate world a construct, it's my construct. You're going to look at the buildings and the dream figures and the animals and realize they're all you. You've probably already experienced this, but dream figures can have very strong senses of independence and intelligence. They really appear to be an independent consciousness to you. The separation is very real. And of course, when you're in a dream, the environment, it seems very obvious that there's a there and there's a here. And yet, you know that the dream, all of it, the environment, the other figures, they're all made of you. They are all your own mental construct. And so this second insight gives you that personal experience of penetrating through the illusion of separation, of penetrating through that illusion that everything is distinct and independent from you, and understanding that underneath it all of these aspects are essentially unified and one. And this is a spiritual cliche we hear over and over. We're all one, we're all made of God. But it's so different when you actually have the lived experience in your body of looking around and realizing that even through apparent separation, there is true unity. In this way, the dream realm really feels almost like a spiritual training ground. It's like you could access and have these micro awakenings around really key important spiritual insights. And then of course take that experience into your waking life and let it be the bedrock that nurtures awakening in this realm too. Insight number 3, the nature of death. And this is a big one. And listen, I actually originally got into lucid dreaming about 7 years ago to try and cure my crippling fear of death. I was trying to answer the question of how do I die without dying? I wanted to have the experience of death before death itself. The Tibetan Buddhists, who use lucid dreaming as part of a broader series of dream yoga practices, they use it to prepare for death. They believe that the death realm, the bardo, is very similar to the dream realm, like a stronger version of the dream realm. So if you can train during your life to become lucid in your dreams, it increases your chance of being lucid when you pass into the death bardo. And if you're able to do that and stay conscious and lucid through that process, you are essentially liberated and freed from the cycle of karmic suffering. So that's high stakes stuff. I'll speak personally about the insights around death that I've experienced with lucid dreaming because we all have our different cosmologies and I don't want to presume. For me, there were really, I think, 2 key things that transformed my relationship with death. And the first was getting to consciously witness impermanence over and over and over again. Every night we go to sleep and we have these whole lives. And if we're aware of them, we get to watch a life be constructed and then deconstructed and pass away. And then another arise and then disappear and then arise and disappear. And through this practice, there's this understanding of the impermanence of the exterior of reality. And in some ways, the continuation of the consciousness powering it. So this beautiful understanding of yes, maybe me as Mia in this life will pass away, but perhaps there is something continuous that will continue. Just like a dream arises and passes, my life could be like the big dream, right? And so just getting to have that visceral experience of the impermanence of form over and over again helped to retrain my brain that it's safe for things to change, even to the point of it's safe for me to die. And the second is a little more hardcore. It's an advanced technique I trained in called falling asleep conscious. I won't go into details of how to do that yet, but basically a high level is you learn and you train to stay conscious during the sleeping process. So during the hypnagogic and passing through sleep paralysis, which is a bit scary, and staying conscious and going straight into a dream from there. And the first time I did this, it blew my mind because I was in my physical body, lying in bed, and I start going through the hypnagogic, going through sleep paralysis. I felt my body literally freezing up and becoming paralyzed. You get a lot of audio hallucinations. It can be a little scary. You stay conscious through it. And then watching a dream starting to form in front of my eyes. At first kind of like 2-dimensional, but at some point it kind of congeals into a fully formed 3-dimensional reality. And I had the experience of 1 second being in my physical body in bed and then being sucked into a dream body. And that experience of my consciousness shifting from a physical anchor into a non-physical anchor also changed things for me. It opened up the possibility for me that maybe when we die, even though our physical forms pass away, that perhaps whatever consciousness is powering us moves off into a non-physical state. These kinds of realizations, the nature of reality, of oneness, of death, these are the caliber of insights available to you as a lucid dreamer if you choose to go down that path. And please don't take my word for it. Next time you are working in your dreams, bring all of your spiritual curiosity to bear. You have access to a training ground where you can test and explore and learn all of these things for yourself. But if you want to do this, you need to be getting lucid consistently. So make sure you watch this quick start on how to get lucid.